Let's talk about web authentication. It's the digital front door to pretty much every application out there. But let's be real, for a lot of developers, it feels like this giant, confusing maze of acronyms and jargon. Before your system can even think about what a user is allowed to do, it first has to know who they are. And that first step, that's where things get messy. So let's just dive right in with a classic question that trips up even seasoned developers. Is OAuth 2 an authentication method? The answer, well, it's not a simple yes or no. And it really gets to the very heart of the mix-ups we're going to unravel today. And the confusion runs deep, right? It's so common to see engineers treat JWT as if it's some kind of authentication method when it's really just a token format. Or they'll talk about single sign-on like it's a protocol when it's actually a user experience. Well, today we're going to cut through all that noise and bring some serious clarity to the chaos.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the absolute basics of identity. Then we'll walk through the history of different methods, see how tokens completely changed everything, and finally, we'll untangle those big misunderstood concepts like OAuth 2 and single sign-on. All right, let's start at the very beginning. Section 1, the first step, identity. Before we can even begin to talk about all the fancy stuff, we have to get on the same page about what authentication really is.
At its absolute core, authentication boils down to one simple question. Who is this user? That's it, full stop. Think of it like the bouncer at a club door. Their job is just to check your ID to make sure you are who you say you are before they let you inside.
And this basic flow is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. First, the user sends a login request with their credentials. Second, the system does an identity check to see if they're legit. And finally, access is either granted or they get hit with that dreaded 401 unauthorized error. Every single method builds on this simple little dance.
Okay, so let's move on and see how this all evolved. Section 2, a history of methods. We're going to take a quick trip back in time to see how we got from the most simple, kind of insecure forms of authentication to the more traditional web approach we've used for years.
So here we have the OGs. Basic Auth is the simplest thing you can imagine, but it sends your username and password in a format that's ridiculously easy to reverse. Yeah, not great. Digest Auth was a small step up, using a hash, but honestly, both of these are pretty much ancient history and you'd be hard-pressed to find them in a modern production app.
Now, API keys are a little different. Think of an API key not as a secret for a user, but as a secret for an application. The key itself doesn't actually contain any information. It's just a long, random string. Every single time a request comes in with that key, the server has to go look it up in a database to figure out, okay, who does this belong to and what are they allowed to do?
This one should feel super familiar to a lot of you. With session-based authentication, a user logs in and the server goes, okay, I know you, and creates a session for them, storing it on the server. Then it gives the client a little cookie with a session ID. For every request after that, the client just sends that cookie back and the server uses the ID to look up the session and remember who the user is.
And that brings us to the real game changer. Section 3, the token revolution. This marks a massive, fundamental shift in how modern applications are built. It's a move away from the server needing to remember everybody towards something way, way more scalable.
The key difference here, the big one, is scalability. With stateful sessions, your server has to keep a record of every single active user, which almost always means a database lookup for every single request. Stateless tokens completely flip that script. The token itself is self-contained. It has all the info the server needs to verify the user right then and there, locally, with no database call. This is what makes modern APIs and massive distributed systems even possible.
Okay, let's be crystal clear on this one, because it's a huge point of confusion. A JSON Web Token, or JWT, is not an authentication method. It is a token format. It's a standardized recipe for creating these self-contained tokens. At the end of the day, it's just a signed JSON object that carries information, we call them claims, like the user's ID and an expiration date which the server can trust and verify all on its own.
So this is the modern security dance using tokens. Step 1, a user logs in and gets two things back, a short-lived access token and a much longer-lived refresh token. Step 2, they use that access token to call your APIs, but eventually it expires. Step 3, the server says, nope, and sends back an error. But here's the magic. Step 4, instead of bugging the user to log in again, the client uses its secure refresh token to silently ask for a new access token. And step 5, a brand new access token is issued and the user session just continues on. Completely seamless. It's secure
and it's a way better user experience.
All right, for our final section, we are going to tackle the biggest misconceptions of all. We're diving into the world of frameworks, protocols, and user experience. We've built the foundation, now let's clear up all the confusion.
Let this one just sink in for a second. If you take away only one thing from our chat today, please make it this. OAuth 2 is a framework for authorization, that is, what a user can do. It is not for authentication, which is who a user is.
So what does it actually do then? Well, it answers a completely different question. What can this application access on my behalf? Think about any time you've let a third-party app access your Google Drive files. That app isn't trying to figure out who you are, it's asking Google for permission to access your files on your behalf. That's delegated authorization.
So if OAuth 2 is all about what an app can do, how do we actually find out who the user is? Well, that's where OpenID Connect comes in. It's a really thin layer built right on top of OAuth 2, and its whole job is to add the missing identity piece. It provides something called an ID token, which, surprise, is just a JWT, that actually proves the user's identity to the application.
And what about single sign-on? Once again, this is not a specific method or protocol. It's a user experience. It's that amazing, seamless feeling of logging into your Google account just once and then magically getting access to Gmail and YouTube and Google Drive without ever having to type your password in again.
So how is that magical SSO experience actually powered? Well, there are two main protocols doing the heavy lifting under the hood. You've got the older, more enterprise-focused SAML, which is all based on XML, and then you have the much more modern OpenID Connect, which is built on JSON and JWTs. They both get you to the same goal, they just represent different areas of web technology.
So if you remember nothing else, just remember this one simple phrase. Authentication is knowing who someone is. Authorization is knowing what they can do. If you can get that distinction right in your head, you are already way ahead of the game.
And there you have it. We've untangled the methods, the tokens, and the frameworks of authentication. But, knowing who the user is, that's really only the first step. The next huge question is, what are you actually going to let them do? And that is a story for another time. Thanks for watching.